Hello, ladies. You are welcome to Dear Younger Mom. This is our parenting program where we are intentional about nurturing in the nature of God. I'm sure I have mentioned perhaps more than a couple of times that I do once a month teach 3 to 5 year olds in my church. It is such a delight being with them. It can be exhausting, but children are just, you learn so much from them. And so ever so often I will hear the children say something, and I can just tell you that's the parents speaking. They're channeling their mom or their dad. They're saying things that you would hear an adult say, and you would hear the tone, you will see the attitude, you will see the stance. They don't even know it, but they're behaving exactly like the parent. Okay, let me give you an example. Perhaps you hear a child shushing the other child, and they'll be threatening to maybe give them a timeout. Of course they can't give the other child a timeout. They're just saying what their parents say, or what their parents do. They would say words that you're not even sure they understand the meaning of it, but that's what the parent has said to them, and so that's just what they say. And so 1 Corinthians 11:1 tells us, Paul's writing to the Corinthians, and he says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Because he understood that based on the position that he occupied in the early church, that people looked up to him. And so there is that for anybody who other people are looking up to you, modeling their lives against yourself. That's how it is for our children. It's not like a deliberate choice. We're actually, by the way we live our lives in the home, mapping out a blueprint for them to follow. So what happens is they're sponges. They just take it in, and they believe that that's how life is supposed to be lived. I was listening to a radio program sometime this week, and this author talked about some very troubling dysfunction in her home, with her mother, and for so long she thought that was the norm, until she went somewhere else, until she encountered other people who actually said to her, this is not normal. But as a child, that's what she knew. And so for our children living with us, that's what they know, how you behave. And my challenge to us is, are we behaving in a way that shows them Christ? Our attitudes, our words, the tone of our voice, are we being kind? Are we aligning with godly principle in our homes? Because we are mapping out a blueprint for them. How we talk, the attitudes that we have, the behaviors we exhibit, the things that we say, our responses to things, those are becoming for them the blueprint of how to operate. If you are all, nice to someone when they come to the house, and when they leave, you're complaining about them and gossiping about them, they think that that's how life is supposed to be lived. They think that that's normal, but that is not, because it does not align with how God has challenged us to be. I'll read for us Philippians chapter 3, verse 17 says, join with others in following my example, brothers, and take note of those who live according to the pattern we gave you. And this pattern is according to the word of God, right? For as I have often told you before, and now say again, even with tears, many live as enemies of the cross of Christ. 19, their destiny is destruction, their God is their stomach, and their glory is in their shame. Their mind is on earthly things. So when our minds are on earthly things, there's a way that we behave. When our minds, on the other hand, are on eternal things, it also influences our behavior. It influences how we speak, our attitudes towards other people, even towards our children. And so we just need to be careful what we're patterning our lives on, because our children are also patterning their lives on that. They are like sponges. And remember that more is caught than taught. So let's be intentional about our words. Let's be intentional about our attitudes, our body language, our conduct to them and to others, so that as they see us as models, which is what it's supposed to be, we are definitely modeling Christ, so that as they follow us, they're also imitating Christ. That's my challenge to us, and I know that God is going to help us to do this, because we definitely need grace to do that. So we can truly say to them, imitate me as I imitate Christ. I'll see you in a bit.